My first step in analysing a current literacy practice was to ensure that my decision to evaluate my website construction met the criteria of the assignment. How did I do that? I tested it out for myself against a framework supplied by our lecturer. Then I made a short video of my proposal as a means to communicate with my peers about the decision. It went something like this. Could I use the website construction as the main content for my analysis? Yes, I believe that I could. Would the cross-curriculum priorities be evidenced throughout the website construction? Well, no, they wouldn't, but as long as I thought I was aware of this, then I believe that to still be okay. Would the general capabilities be observable throughout my construction process? Yes, I believe that most of them would be, as I had been cognitively aware of their application throughout the process already. I would consider this to reflect the general capabilities of critical and creative thinking. This is because I had made a critical analysis of the proposal by aligning my idea with Anya's visual framework, used my reasoning to come up with a valid response, and then used a creative and effective method to put the proposal forward to my peers in the form of a video clip. If you had seen the video clip, you will have noticed that I included a range of visual, audio, gestural, oral, written, and spatial modes. These have been combined with the contextual elements of subject matter, in this case being the assignment criteria, and interpersonal relations with my peers within the setting of my university community. I believe that the video addressed to my peers is a good reflection of a multimodal literacy, reflective of the time-lapse video I had made in an earlier segment of my website. I feel that this made for richer engagement with my university setting, rather than a typed message on the discussion board. I was hoping in this case to increase the chance of more feedback, a benefit to me and my assignment, because, as stated by Anya in the course material, we played a win. My personal and social skills were exercised as I took the opportunity to reach out to my peers in an effort that requires confidence and the ability to create and foster relationships in an effort to provide invaluable feedback. I was also aware that the act of my proposal may have offered some assistance to other peers who may have been considering similar elements of the assignment. This extends to intercultural values, as evidenced by the elements of curiosity, respect, critical awareness, and empathy for my peers. Now that I had established that I could safely critique the website construction as my literacy practice, I could continue by providing my initial reaction to the task, which was admittedly a mixture of fear and horror. I'm sharing this as I feel it relates to the reaction that future students may feel when they're pushed outside of their comfort zone. I would call this an empathetic response, empathy being an interpersonal skill that is vital to citizenship and a value that is mentioned 61 times within the curriculum. So we had a choice of various ICT platforms to present our e-portfolio. One of these was PowerPoint, which seemed a comfortable option because I know I can use PowerPoint well. But I came to realise that I could enrich my skill base if I used another ICT platform. So after much deliberation, I decided to create my first ever website. Creating a website came not without its initial frustrations, so I began the parts that I was comfortable with. For me, this is playing around with designing and formatting the visual components of the page, such as colour, layout, and font choice. It's possible that I spent too long on this, but it gave me some grounding to build on, and while I played around with these, I was mentally unpacking the elements that I thought were important to include in my profile. As I began this process, I became hyper-aware of my choices in relation to the field of literacy. For example, I wanted to choose an image as my initial background. So while researching literacy and coming to realise the strong connection with global communication, I began searching for images of Earth, which also included a visual representation of the communication that occurs all around the globe. This was just one example of a critical and creative response to this task, reinforced with the ethical act of saving the link for inclusion on my reference list, my personal and social skills were employed by pursuing an image that I feel reflected my personal interpretation of global communication and making this visible to the public, hence on a social platform. While building the content of my site, I became aware that the value of literacy while engaging with internet searches could not be underestimated. Here I was, in my living room, examining a range of online literature, such as sourcing help guides to help me navigate through Wix, and exploring a multitude of scholarly articles that discussed many facets of literacy, while also watching YouTube instructional videos and interacting with my peers via written messages in discussion boards. I felt fortunate, for example, that I could use my skills of language, such as word choice, to be able to locate Eve Burns' paper on modality, multiliteracy and text, which discusses how on-screen visual elements such as typefaces, fonts and use of space can be combined for meaning-making purposes. Phew! I finally felt a bit more justified in terms of how long I was spending designing my pages. I had specific intentions of making my page visually appealing, applying critical and creative skills to ensure that I was engaging my audience on an aesthetic level. Now that I had the concepts of design in place, accumulating the literature, analysing the research, and effectively communicating the findings on my site became my focus. It was via this process that I could portray my understanding, knowledge, and skills relevant to the literacy context of my assignment. By analysing and interpreting the findings, I could present my understandings using a range of modes that I felt were both appropriate and engaging. For example, I have aimed to engage the audience by using a mixture of audio, visual, animated, and written modes. I have also presented literacy definitions and research using more formal language and layouts, and balanced this with more informal and personal language, sometimes evidenced in this presentation and often visible on my university discussion board with my peers. Throughout the process of this assignment, I was conscious of applying higher order thinking skills, not only researching and producing an assignment, but being cognitively aware of the process. Because of this, I feel that my learning so far in this unit has been invaluably enriched by this assignment. To summarise the experience, I will apply Anya's definition that literacy is the ability to use increasingly diverse meaning-making practices in order to participate informed and effectively in the context of life. So have I demonstrated my ability to communicate my findings in an effective manner within the appropriate context of this assignment? So far, I believe that I have.